we have Professor Brian Hoyt from the Department of Business at Ohio University. Thank you so much for joining us today, Professor Hoyt.
I could get really a volume and broader and deeper insight into what it is that students need relative, in my case, for a written assignment, what they need to be stronger critical thinkers, analysis for a business course, a management course, for them to look at a workplace situation and assess it, examine it, explore it. And this provides, again, a range, broad and depth, relative to assessing what a student knows, what learning is actually take place. And I think that's, of course, it's invaluable. And, as learning outcomes are driving courses and programs and even accreditation, it's been very valuable. It's, they can get in there and it's a one-stop shop. And so in there, I use my own instructions about how to add value to their analysis. I also point them to all of the helps and videos and the help documents that Kritik provides. And sometimes they, if you do that, not just send them there in the beginning, but just in time. So in other words, when they're ready to do something like post a creation, I'll provide that link on how to do that in Kritik, or evaluate, how to make sure your evaluations are on target and get scored right effectively. I'll provide that link so that they can go do that. So it allows me to do a little bit more just-in-time type of interventions. Is when they're in it, they can really engage. They can look at what multiple people have said about their work, what I've said about their work, what they're thinking about their peers' work, and really is a nice, robust, and Justin used this phrase, 360 type concept.
I use it for an online course. I've done all my courses online. So this is one of the first courses where I really felt that there's some kind of classroom community, because we were all just really learning from each other. And we all just really wanted each other to improve. In the course, everyone was motivated to give in-depth evaluations. I've received some really great feedback, and I do my best to give feedback back. It's also incentivized through Kritik, which is nice. And yeah, just through that process, I was able to gain really great understanding of the content, and just being able to see a bunch of different perspectives and see how other people kind of are understanding the concept or applying their knowledge in a different way than I am, was really interesting.
In Kritik, right, they have to go through a minimum of 15 to 18 times to think about what an analysis is and what it should do. And that's because they go back to the rubric and they say, okay, well, what am I looking at? What's the framework that I'm supposed to be using? And then they have to do it for 5 of their students. They have to look at it when I evaluate them. So, if you look at the number of times and they give feedback, then they have to use that rubric again. So it's just turned up the volume relative to them practicing analysis. And this is then what I tell them to finish that off to your question, Justin, is I say, this is exactly what you need to do in the workplace. You need to be able to be good at it, you need to be quick at it, you need to be thorough, and then you need to communicate what it is that you examined or explored. You have to do that across, like with colleagues. You have to do that up, right, to superiors. And in many cases, hopefully for management students, they'll have to move that communication down to subordinates. So how do you do that, right? But it's so user-friendly and application-ready that that you really need to get in 30 minutes, they'll show you some of the coolest stuff that you can do in any class that you're teaching. And so that, I think that's important. It doesn't even have to look anything like mine. And it has features that, like Sarah had said, hers probably didn't look like mine either, but it has some very cool stuff that enhances peer interaction and learning.